Today I'm going to go over 10 overlanding must-haves. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Motoring Adventures. I'm Preston. And today I wanted to go over what I feel are 10 must-haves if you want to go overlanding. Now, I don't claim to be the world's foremost expert on overlanding. Overlanding is something that I like to do, that I try to do, even though a lot of people might say that what I do isn't exactly considered overlanding. But it does involve a lot of the things I love, which is off-roading, camping, and exploring the outdoors. So what exactly is overlanding? Overlanding is a type of adventure-based travel that focuses mainly on the journey itself. It's less about the destination you're heading to and more about the actual journey. And I'd say that's pretty accurate. It focuses less on the technical four-wheeling aspect or off-roading aspect of the journey. It involves camping, but it's also at the same time not just camping. So I wanted to come up with what I think are some essential items, and these aren't specific items like made by a certain company. These are just in general, this is what I would want to have to go overlanding. I wouldn't want to go overlanding without these. I could, but I just think the experience would be better if you have these particular items. So overlanding must-have number one, surprise, surprise, an off-road capable vehicle. It doesn't have to be this off-road capable vehicle. It can be any sort of vehicle that will help you when you're going off-roading or you're in off-pavement terrain. But yeah, you're going to want some sort of vehicle that's going to be basically the basis for your travels. People make overlanding vehicles out of just about anything out there. I mean, it doesn't have to be marketed as an off-road vehicle. But I do like to start with one that has at least a little bit better features or basic features for off-roading. To me, those features include things that you would find on, say, a Jeep or a 4Runner or a Bronco or this heavy-duty Ram 2500 Power Wagon. You have solid axles with this. You have larger off-road tires. The tires are probably the biggest thing that upgrades a vehicle into off-road capable status, in my opinion. You add bigger tires, add extra ground clearance, and they have a lot thicker rubber, so they withstand puncture better, and you can air them down so they have a much better ride off-road. You can go faster and they're less likely to blow out, and they give you much more better traction in the dirt and on the rocks and in the sand. Pretty much any terrain that's going to be off pavement, they'll give you better traction. But I wouldn't skip on this part. I mean, even if you're going to build it out, just you want to have something that's going to be solid for you. It's going to be reliable. You don't want to be left stranded out in the middle of nowhere. This is kind of the backbone of what everything else is based off of, so choose wisely. All right, overlanding must-have number two, rooftop tent with sleeping bag. Now, you absolutely don't have to have a rooftop tent. You could totally do this in regular old ground tent, as I have here, this REI tent that I've had for years, and a good quality sleeping bag. This just allows really good bedding that you can make compact and easy to travel with, and they're usually temperature rated, so on cold evenings it'll keep you warm. I mean, they go down as low as below 0 Fahrenheit in their ratings. They're rated to keep you alive at that temperature, not in the coziest of comfy conditions. But this one here is actually just a standard non-mummy bag, but this works pretty good if the temperature is going to dip as cold as like 55 or low 50s. Below that, I start wanting like a mummy bag that has down filled. But you don't really need the rooftop tent, but to me, it just, if you're going to be setting up and breaking down your tent on a daily basis during your journey, this will make that just so much easier and more convenient. And not only that, it ensures that your tent is up above the ground. It's not sitting in a wet area, muddy area, or if it does rain, you're not going to wake up and be stuck in a muddy mess on the outside. Then you got to break it down, put it away, all soaking and dripping with mud, and you're having to put that back in a bag and compress it. You can also help level. It's a flat surface, so sometimes you set up tents on areas and they look flat, but you're still at the mercy of whatever the ground is doing. A lot of times there's undulations that you don't see, and I've had pretty bad night's sleep being on the ground just because it looked flat. It was relatively flat, but then there's like some hump or something. This ensures that the surface is flat. Depending on where you have it mounted on a vehicle, or in this case on a trailer, you can do a few things to kind of tweak how level it is and get it, relatively flat. And I found that makes for a much better night's sleep. And not only that, what I like to do is this tent's it's big enough that I can keep my sleeping bag in it all the time. So I don't ever have to pack up my sleeping bag. I just fold this open and the sleeping bag's in there ready to go. The only thing I throw in there is a compressible pillow, and I just let it air out when we get to camp, and it's all ready to go. But this does help you go from place to place, breaking up and setting down, just that much more convenient. I think if you're going to do this a lot, to me, this is a must-have. All right, overlanding must-have number 3, portable fridge and external power supply to power it. A lot of people would say, well, just bring a Yeti cooler. I mean, they keep ice cold for 6 days or whatever it is, but I think when you're doing this seriously, you're going to do it days on end, this is the way to go. You don't waste any space inside with ice or standing water. You don't have to worry about stuff getting soggy, although they can still get soggy if something leaks or something of that nature. Portable refrigerators have come a long way. They don't just chill. I mean, these things can downright freeze items for days on end, well below 0 Fahrenheit. You don't have to break the bank with one of these. I've gotten this one made by Bouge RV. It was like $350, and it has a dual zone compartment, and you can refrigerate items on one side and freeze on the other, or vice versa. Comes with a Bluetooth app, so I can control it with my phone or see what the temperatures are with my phone when I'm driving. And you can plug this into either a 12-volt power supply in your vehicle or regular 3-prong 110, 120 volt outlet. And also, an external power supply is good if you plan on not just driving every single day. Maybe you want to stay at a location a night or two, and a lot of people use solar to kind of power those portable power supplies, like a Jackery or a Blue Eddy. Now, some of these come with their own internal batteries that you get. They can be taken out and put back in. But yes, portable fridge or a way to carry food and drinks refrigerated and or freeze for days when you're overlanding. All right, overlanding must-have number 4, camp stove with propane or fire starter or whatever your stove or charcoal grill even. You need some way to cook the food that you're bringing in your portable fridge or cooler, and a camp stove does excellent. And to me, these are essential. They're compact, easy to transport. I mean, people have been using these for years, and this is a particular version. If you've seen my videos, this is my Magellan camp stove. Magellan's a brand that Academy, it's like a proprietary brand. I've really liked these stoves. This is actually the second one. The first one broke on a trip I did out to Arizona. One of the connections of the burner broke. I kind of like this square or rectangular skillet here. It's really nice for cooking bacon. You don't have to worry about it fitting in around. But lately it's kind of warped, and it kind of just doesn't sit flush anymore. But I don't know, I've still been able to manage with it. And of course, with that, you can connect the little tiny green propane tanks, which I have one around here somewhere. But I usually also just bring full-size propane, the kind you use for your barbecue gas grill is. This will last for weeks on this thing. I carry 2 of them here in the M1102 trailer. That's just how much room you have in this particular, what I call overlanding trailer. But the little ones do fine, and they last quite a long time on there. I can also use these to power to fuel a buddy heater if I've used when it's on really cold nights. Not the most efficient way to heat a tent. It does a decent job. It'll keep you from, being totally frigid. But you definitely need a way to cook the food you have. And if you're doing it for days on end, this is probably the best, most efficient way. I mean, yeah, sure, you can bring charcoal. I love cooking over coals. And a lot of times I have that little grill that you can just set up and then cook over that. That's the food's really good that way. But that might not be the most efficient way, having to dig up or bring charcoal with you. You run out, what do you do? Propane will last you a lot longer. And then you can have a propane fire, and a lot of times there's a burn ban for wood and charcoal fires, unless it's in a certified like device or something, but propane is usually always allowed. So to me, a propane stove that's portable is the way to go when you're overlanding. All right, overlanding must-have number 5 is recovery gear and extra fuel. This right here is 21.5 gallons. This can carry 21.5 gallons of gasoline. These aren't all full, obviously. This wouldn't stay there. But a lot of people think it's funny or trivial that you would need to bring extra gasoline. People are like, oh, you're never more than X number of miles from a gas station anywhere in this country. Well, I beg to differ, because I've actually had the need for extra fuel while I was out adventuring. If you'd seen my video from my last trip to Padre Island National Seashore, towing this M1102 over 120 miles in the sand, we'll definitely eat the gas. We'll definitely drink the fuel. And I absolutely needed, if I had not had extra gasoline with me, I would have needed a tow, needed a way to contact somebody. Luckily I had my Garmin inReach, and because there's no cell service that far out at all. You're over 50, 60 miles from civilization at all, just from pavement. And even then you got to drive quite a ways on a paved road to get to a gas station. And recovery gear, you have to have a way to self-recover. You have to have a way to self-extract. I really like, a shovel is a good tool to have. You can dig yourself out of, a lot of situations. There are ones where you'll need something else, but I really like this shovel. It's very compact. I forgot the manufacturer's name, but I can put a link to this in the description. But I mean, just look how compact. And this is a decent shovel. It's very well built. It's not like some cheap foldable one that I've had those before, and they don't always stay, when you unfold them, I've had them come apart on me. I really hate that. But this one has never failed. I've never really had to use it too much. Another arguably good thing to have is a tow strap, or some way somebody else could pull you out. But one of the really, I think, overrated, underrated things to have is a winch, an electric or hydraulic. Some people say hydraulic is the way to go, but electric winch is definitely the most popular, I think, because it just plugs right up to your battery, and you have the power of your alternator behind that to power it. And even if you have the winch, you're going to want to have stuff like a tree saver, a tow strap, a snatch block, some shackles. And it really helps enhance the use of your winch. When you use the snatch block, you can basically double your pulling power. Yeah, you'll definitely want to pick up some gear like this. Doesn't have to be this one. A number of companies make different ones for these, and definitely a good idea when you're going overlanding to go prepared. All right, the number 6 overlanding must-have is lighting. You'll definitely want to invest in some good lighting. That's almost too bright. If you plan to go overlanding, I think having good light is essential, because there's not going to be much light out there in the middle of nowhere. We get very used to there being street lights and other lights, even at developed campsites. When you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's no light at all, and it's, I think, a good idea to invest in some very good lighting. Of course, now we have LEDs that do such a great job of making very clear, bright light. And you don't have to break the bank. This I got at Costco. It's like a 3-pack for, I believe, $30 or less than $30. And these 2 lights here are very useful. This one, you sit down on the ground, and it has a detachable magnetic that, of course, so you can mount them random places that you need light. And then you can plug them back in. These are both chargeable. This one here is kind of adjustable, and there's this nice clamp that you can clamp somewhere to give yourself some light. I would eventually like to get a bed rack for the power wagon and mount some permanent lights there, so kind of have like surround lighting that's, you know, hardwired. That'll be nice. But in the meantime, these work great. These were both like under $30–40, and they work great. I like this one's got a meter, and you can plug in USB or USB-C device into it and charge it. Even if you don't get one of these to light your campsite at night, I think it's a good idea to get a good headlamp, because then you just have light wherever you're looking. There's a lot of other options out there. Of course, back in the day, people used lanterns like this Coleman. Gosh, I haven't had this out in forever. But you know, you would just put one of the green propane tanks here, light up the filament, and oh, it'd last a long time, and you could bring it around your campsite, provide a nice incandescent light. Yeah, lighting is very important, I think, when you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere where there's not a lot of light. I mean, say you have to make some sort of repair or even just change a tire. It's great to have one of these that you just set down, or a headlamp, to be able to see in the dark. Okay, number 6 on the list is first aid kit. And I've added this fire extinguisher to this item. This is kind of your emergency, it's kind of your fire/medical emergency substitution if you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's really good to invest in a good first aid kit. These two right here aren't, I wouldn't say are the best kits out there, because there's a lot of companies that'll make these proprietary kits that are really inclusive and include things that are really useful. These are kind of generic basic ones that you can buy, but it has a lot of just basic first aid stuff, a lot of antiseptic wipes, bandages, that sort of thing. I know I can probably find something I'll need in here. This one's a little bit more geared towards backpacking and being very compact, this adventure medical kit. This is a little more pricier than one like this, but it's really concise and really has what you need, especially if you're in the outdoors. It's kind of geared towards what you would need if you were out alone. This has a syringe, has tape, gauze. It even has a stop bleeding fast kit. I guess if you're really bleeding and you want to stop that, stuff like aspirin, Tylenol, pain relievers. Really important to have a first aid kit, because you never know, an injury can come up out of nowhere. You might accidentally bump your knee into something sharp, something we really don't think about much, but when it happens, it's like, oh crap, I really wish I had a first aid kit of some kind or something, at least to get you to where you can get help, which is a little hard when you're out in the middle of nowhere, but we'll go into that in just a bit. And of course, fire extinguisher. This is just a must-have in any off-road vehicle. I've had this forever actually, but it's still showing that it's good. You can see here, nothing crazy, just a basic fire extinguisher that's made to work on multiple types of fires. Just make sure it's in good working condition here, and you should be good to go. I have had to use this once. It was on somebody else that was having an engine fire. It didn't put the engine fire completely out, but it did extinguish it enough to kind of calm it down before the firefighters arrived. But you just never know, especially on off-roading vehicles. A lot of people do a lot of electrical stuff to it, like adding lights, and I'm going to add my ham radio to the truck eventually, and you get into the electrical system, you might have electrical fire. There's always that possibility. But this just ensures, it just also kind of peace of mind that you're a little bit more prepared than the average person, which you kind of need to be when you're doing the overlanding thing, because you're in remote places. You have to be your own mini ambulance, your own mini fire station, and you kind of have that here. The number 8 overlanding must-have is emergency communications. My examples are ham radio or a satellite communicator. I think it's very important. You're off-grid. There's not going to be a lot of cell service in these places that you go. Now that's changing nowadays. I mean, you got Starlink, and if you have that, you can get internet and make like internet calls from anywhere in the world. It's awesome. But not everyone has a subscription to that or has purchased that. But I think a tried and true way to communicate when you're off-grid is by the use of ham radio. And a lot of people confuse ham radio with like CB radio or even GMRS radio, but ham radio or amateur radio is it's a hobby, but it's a set of frequencies that the average citizen can speak on if they have a license from the Federal Communications Commission. And you have to take a test to get, there's 3 different licenses. You have your technician, general, and extra. And even with just the technician license, you can talk on some of the basic frequencies that can get you in touch with somebody to get help. Now, it helps to be very savvy and knowledgeable in the way ham radio works, and it's definitely learnable, and it's actually a very enjoyable hobby. I found it very enjoyable myself. It's a much better way to communicate than through just CB, which is kind of limited. The ham radio can go much further. You have many more options in terms of frequencies. You can talk on different bandwidths. And a lot of people, that's a very involved way to have emergency communications, and a lot of people don't go that route, probably for that very reason and having to take a test. But you can do things like get a satellite communicator. This is my Garmin InReach. This is the SE Plus. This has a large, there is one called the Mini, which is much more compact. But you have to get a subscription to this, and it does cost quite a bit up front, but it's comparable to when you buy like a mobile ham radio. You know, these can be had anywhere from $200 to $800. With this was I believe like $300 or $400. With a subscription, you can have satellite texting, limited amount depending on your plan. So I can text my wife when I'm in the middle of nowhere, when there's no cell coverage, let her know I'm okay, or let her know what the plan is or what's going on. And I can send her my location, my exact GPS coordinates. And what I think is the best feature is it has this SOS feature here. You open this, and if you push this, that sends out an SOS beacon. And they have, like, Garmin has a network of emergency people on the ready to assist in an emergency situation, and they get a hold of the people in whatever area of the globe you're in, and they can have emergency personnel out there. Like, depending on the location, it just depends how quickly they can get them out there. But there's lots of stories. There's lots of history and people being rescued. Getting life-saving medical care through the use of satellite communicators such as this. There's other ones out there. You don't have to get the Garmin, but something called the Spot. I don't have personal experience with those, but I hear they're very good and they're similar to this. I've been really happy with this. It also can track my location. I can send a link out and people can follow me and see where I am. It updates every 10 minutes or so. I know this is real techy, and a lot of people probably think this is overkill in certain ways, but to me it is a hobby. It is fun to do this sort of thing, but I can really see this coming in handy in an emergency situation. And if it's a true emergency, like life-threatening emergency, you don't have to have a license to talk on the ham radio. You can communicate on it. You can do SOS, and all you really need to know is the simplex frequency, which is like the channel 9 of ham radio. And nowadays, some phones, like the latest iPhone, the iPhone I have, the iPhone 14, and I think all the ones after that, are now putting emergency SOS beaconing of abilities in the phone. Like, they can now talk to the satellites and send a signal out that way, even without cell coverage. So some people might start to see these as being obsolete over time, but I still think these are more dedicated to that and have been doing this longer, and it might be a more reliable system for getting help. So definitely a good idea to have some sort of emergency communications when you're venturing out into the backcountry in remote locations. Okay, number 9 overlanding must-have is personal protection. And I think this includes firearms, but also things like bear spray or mace. A lot of the places you might be exploring while overlanding don't have easy access to things like police, fire, emergency services, and you want to make sure you're prepared. There's a lot of dangerous things out there. The world's a very dangerous place. In my opinion, nothing makes you a little bit more confident than having a firearm, a trusty firearm by your side. I mean, people have been carrying firearms for years. In the Old West, everyone had a firearm. There was a lot of lawlessness back then, but there was also just a lot of dangers. I mean, there's wild animals like bears and mountain lions, and you just want to be prepared. You just never know what you'll come up against. There's wild boar, you name it. There's a lot of dangers out there. And probably one of the most dangerous things of all is people. People don't always have your best intentions at heart, and you just never know. There's countless stories of people who were, murdered in their tent, or, people took advantage of them. You're out in the middle of nowhere. There's really nowhere you can get help. Even if you could get a hold of somebody via a ham radio or satellite, it's going to take them a while to get to your location, chances are. Nothing can just stop that, like having a good firearm. Now, these are firearms that I personally would like to take in the backcountry. I don't always take these. My personal protection is this gun right here. This is a Glock 27 Gen 4. I like it because it's compact and it carries a 40 caliber round, which is this right here. That's just kind of my daily carry as it is, so chances are I'm going to have that on me. Going up against wild animal, a lot of time they have, it's not like a lot of people think, like not just any gun will be able to kill an animal like just off the first try. Chances are the animal's going to be moving, it's going to be erratic, especially if you start firing at it. So this is a Glock 20 and it holds a 10 millimeter round. Now I have a special barrel in here so I can use these hard cast 10 millimeter rounds, and it has this is a special barrel. This was made by Lone Wolf. I've had this for many years, and this is said to be kind of like a backup to a hunting rifle because especially if you get it with these hard cast 230 grain rounds, this thing has a lot of penetrating power. Plus you can hold 15 of these, and even if you miss on the first couple, I think chances are you're going to hit it after a while. But like I said, if an animal's charging you, it happens lightning quick. I mean, you might not even have enough time to react. But to me, it's better to have something than not have something. I mean, even with bear spray, a lot of times it can be a delayed reaction. It can be delayed in its response. Chances are, even if you encounter a wild animal, you can probably scare it off. You probably won't ever have to use this. And I hope to never have to use them in a real life and death situation. But still reassuring. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's any doubt, having this really helps you sleep at night. It helps ease the anxiety you might have. At least it does with me. If I was out in the middle of nowhere and I didn't have one of these, I would want to get back to civilization, actually. I mean, there's scenarios where that's not going to be possible or whatnot, but that's just ingrained in me. I'm a real proponent of the Second Amendment and your right to bear arms in this country. And I think that's something unique and that American citizens should take advantage of. I mean, these aren't for everybody. Not everybody's going to want to do this, but there are alternatives. There's like bear special guns that shoot pellets out that are to fend off bears and whatnot. And if you really want to get serious against large game, this is the Marlin 1895G. This shoots a 45-70 government round. This is a pretty intense bullet, and it's made to penetrate the hides of large game. So I imagine this would be something I would really want if against a bear or something, a large animal of that nature. It's just a really good, trusty firearm. You can't go wrong with the old lever actions. They've been around forever, tried and true, very reliable. And then, of course, everyone's favorite controversial weapon, the AR-15. I think these are good, especially against, I mean, if you're dealing with humans that are, there's a reason why this is so controversial and sought after, because I mean they say it's a killing machine, but 30 round magazine, shooting 223, 5.56. It's going to be if you're confronted by a gang of people and they happen to be armed too, or they have knives or something. I mean, this is definitely what I'd want to have. I mean, sure, you can hold 9 rounds of 40. Or even 15 rounds of 10 millimeter, and that's probably gonna be enough. But there are, like I said, you never know who's out in the wilderness. You could run across, a meth lab. Highly unlikely scenario. The world, I mean, is a dangerous place, but still, your chances of running into that are slim. It's just like your chances of being in a car accident. They're very slim. I mean, most people don't think about it, and they go to drive to the grocery store, that you're getting into one of the most deadly vehicles or scenarios. Car accident. People die in them all the time, and we don't really think much about it. I mean, we do, but we don't. It's not like even when you get on a plane, you're probably more concerned than you are when you get in a car, even though your chances of dying in a plane crash are far less than dying in an automobile crash. So anyway, it's a good idea to have some sort of form of protection with you when you're out alone in the wilderness in remote locations, especially while overlanding, especially while sleeping in a tent. It's not even really something you can lock a door on and be protected that way, but still, just be prepared and you'll sleep that much better. All right, number 10, overlanding must-have is navigation. This includes maps, apps, and anything you can use to navigate. But you know, nowadays a lot of people use apps, online apps such as Gaia GPS and Onyx Off-Road. These are great because you know it's all on a device. You don't have to deal with paper and losing different maps and being able to read the maps. You can just navigate and it tells you exactly where you are on the map. You know, these are great. I love the modern apps, especially Gaia GPS and Onyx Off-Road. They provide so much information and you have so many different layers that you can add in, especially if you have the subscription to one of their services. I've been doing this for many years, and before we had all these apps, you had to get something like this, a Garmin GPS, and this is a Garmin Montana 600. It's kind of old and outdated, but I still use this in conjunction with my ham radio, and it still provides a decent map and location. It also provides speed and stuff like that. It has tells you when the sun is going to rise and set. It's very useful still. I still keep it around. You had to, but to get the maps for where you're going, you had to purchase a map on an SD card separately, and they're pretty pricey. They're like up to $100 for just like a certain state or a certain region of the country. I think we've gotten spoiled with the apps because you pay a subscription. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's a lot of money over time, but you have access to everything. Yeah, I mean, you have access to any location in the US and around the world. I even found this useful on our trip to the Philippines back in May. It had really detailed maps of the Philippines. I was surprised. I was amazing. You could go use this all the way around, halfway around the world, even in the remote location of where we visited my grandmother in Matnog. I still could see where we were, and these have come a long way, and I think I find it very useful, and especially on a device like an iPad or a tablet. If you get it with the right amount of memory. I've got this one, I forget how much memory, but it's a lot, so I can just download offline maps for days. So geography and mapping is like at my core. Over time, I've collected numerous actual paper maps and guides. A lot of these are on apps like Gaia GPS. Like you can add this as a layer, which is great, but it's still good to me, it's still fun to look at these on a paper map, just sprawl them out on a nice big table. I've amassed quite a collection of these over time. There's even ones of Moab. I really would like to explore more of that. And this is kind of what really sparked my curiosity into off-roading in general. These guidebooks. These are the Fun Treks guidebooks. These are great because they give you all kinds of detailed information about different trails, ratings, and just open your mind up. Especially I started out in off-roading, was in Arizona, and this book literally changed my life. I think you can see I still got mud from different outings. There's the adventure to be told right there, but this just sparked the curiosity in me. It just, like, childlike curiosity. I wanted to run every single trail that's in this book. So to me, this is actually one of the top things that's essential to overlanding, is specifically that you know where you are and where you want to go. And I mean, even if it's sporadic and you just want to just go on a whim, you need this to kind of help navigate you through all that. Okay, you guys are in for a treat today. Bonus overlanding must-have. That is a camp toilet. First, you can always, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to have access to a standard toilet or even a porta potty. You're in an undeveloped area. When you got to do your business, you're going to have to do it outside, chances are. I mean, you can go about this by digging a hole in the ground. It has to be a certain distance from streams or bodies of water, that sort of thing. But you're going to have to squat. You're going to have to use your own strength to kind of hold you up. If you've ever done this, you know what I'm talking about. It's not the most comfortable thing to do, but they have these pretty portable camping toilets that are available. There's two of them here. These are both made by Reliance. You can get these in places like Walmart or probably online, but they provide a nice place to sit. And people try to devise their own versions of these. You can take like a bucket. That's all this one is, basically, is a bucket. You got your toilet paper there, and they come with these very nifty toilet bags, and provides a nice, clean, sanitary way to dispose of your waste. And There's a powdery substance in there that kind of absorbs the smell, and they seal really well. So you just throw this away with your trash. You don't even have to worry about digging a hole. Now, of course, you can dig a hole and use one similar to this one, which also uses a toilet bag. This one's a lot more compact. This one folds up. I've been using this one a lot lately. It's not as easy to use, but I like that it folds up. Now, there's probably better ones you can get. This only has 3 legs, which makes it a little bit unstable, but it still gets the job done. You just put your toilet bag around the rim here and do your thing, or just dig a hole in there, and there you have it. Your waste is gone. Now, something to add to this that I don't have yet, but they have portable little toilet tents or privacy shelters. They're just like little mini tents. They set up pretty quickly, and they give you not just privacy, but kind of protect you a little bit from the elements. Very interesting topic. Didn't think I was going to delve into this today, but yeah, camping toilet, great idea. Well, there you have it. That's my list of 10 overlanding must-haves, including a bonus must-have. What do you guys think of my list? Is there something else I should consider bringing with me when going overlanding? Or do some of these items you think shouldn't be on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. And remember, you don't need these items to go on your own overlanding or personal adventures. You just need to get out there and explore your world. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified of the next video, and we'll see you on the next motoring adventure. Take care, everyone.